So firstly, thanks for joining us today on our webinar for implementing workforce management. So this is the main topic of today, and we're going to go over the next 20 minutes or so, highlight some of the things to consider really when looking at different workforce management systems, platforms from a cultural and an HR perspective, from your perspective in managing people. And also talk about a bias perhaps around Okapi slightly, but hopefully a lot of the things we'll cover, apply also to any workforce management system as well as any other software. So guys out there, to ensure this webinar runs smoothly, can please mute your microphones. That'd be great. And also, if my broadband cuts out, I'll try and reconnect. If you do want the slides at the end of the webinar, please do let us know. And just as a heads up for next month, by the way, we're running these webinars for most of 2020 now. The final one this year will be November, called Creating Job Templates with Okapi. Okay. Previous webinar covered things you might not know about Okapi, things such as how to get paid on time, how to use LinkedIn, and also a lot more other sort of interesting topics. If you want the slides and videos of any previous webinars, please do let us know, or check our events page on www.okapi.com/events. Okay, so with that said, we'll okay, so who is Okapi? So firstly, foremost, for those that don't know, Okapi is a business-to-business connected workforce management platform which applies social and market networking technology to a real business need. So this need is to communicate and collaborate with your employees who are often at different locations, now so more than ever, especially after pandemic, and to communicate with the subcontractors and customers. So Okapi really does help the most forward-looking and dynamic companies increase things like transparency, reduce duplication, costs, errors, increase things like efficiency, ultimately making a significant contribution to one's bottom line. That's the ultimate result, and as well as being able to put your finger on something really quickly and having everything at hand. So with Okapi, you can also connect your employees, your customers, your subcontractors. You can send and receive jobs. You can see the status of those jobs as they've been updated by your engineers and subcontractors. Then you can raise invoices at a touch of a button. So that sounds really, really great. It's all good stuff, but what do you actually need to get up and running? And that's what we'll touch on today. So all these things to consider. Okay, so this kind of summarizes it nicely. So if you're looking to put any sort of workforce management in place very soon, so the main points we're gonna go from this webinar is how many admin users you'll need and where are they based. They're in the office or at home. So with workforce management softwares like Okapi, for example, they can log in from home. It's a full SaaS service, so we manage it and run it for you. You can log on from any device. So how many admin users will you need, and how many mobile field workers do you actually need? What devices do they have? Are they old? Are they short on storage? Are they running outdated operating systems? So it might be worth considering, with the field engineers. I mean, everyone should or owns a smartphone these days, but what smartphone type is it? So it might be worth having a heads up with them as well. And also determine your go live date. Scope of Okapi as well. We're going to go through setting up the system. Also going to touch on job sheets as well, helping to create your own system. So do you need to integrate with other systems as well? And again, integrating with other systems, testing and building your network. So these are all things we're going to touch on today. So what you see here is a screenshot of Okapi on adding employees. So how many admin users you're looking to have. On the Okapi main web console, admin users can assign jobs. They can see everyone's calendar and jobs. They're able to take a job through from start to finish from the whole life cycle. up to archiving job. And which of those admin users will need training? You know, who's going to be your main go-to guy for Okapi? Who's going to be the sort of Okapi expert in the company? So that people, you know, if they need help with it or ask a question, or even if we need to come back and get in touch with, you know, the main person there, who, you know, choose that who would that person be? Also bear in mind, you'll also be giving your admin users enablement to work from home. And standard users are generally employees who are out on jobs, so normally they use the mobile app. Okay. And also to consider here is the actual subcontractors as well. How many of those have you got? You know, what their device is like. So it might be worth having a heads up with them as well. So determine your go live date. Now this is quite important. So everybody knows what the goal is. Everybody's got a date in the calendar, set time whereby they need to either upskill themselves, get familiar with Okapi, know their logins, have the app on their device, know that the jobs from a certain date will be sent, you know, to their mobile device, know who's live, which engineers have actually, you know, got access to it and have actually connected. So everyone, you know, is on the same page really. So in the slightly bigger companies, it's worth probably putting a project team together, or at least consider a project plan. When we're involved in training and configuration, we'll send you an implementation guide. Review this, ensure your own plans cover everything. Communication really is critical here, because, you know, some guys will be concerned, some guys will be worried even, or perhaps even threatened by it all. So just put everyone at ease, but perhaps consider the training and do some you know, testing beforehand. Consider dual running and testing even before the go live date, and you know, put some sort of jobs, some dummy jobs through, and from start to finish. So you know that everybody's, you know, you can flick the switch. What you want to do is really sort of kind of flick the switch, put Okapi in place. And in the beginning, it might be worth, you know, running something alongside it just in case, but you know, once you're into it a few days, then you'll have the confidence to actually run the whole thing from Okapi, and you kind of start relying it. But yeah, determine the go live day. We find the most successful implementations are the ones where they've got a solid date, they kind of work towards it, they stick to it, they go live, and it rolls out quite sort of pleases everyone, and it's more of a pleasure than a pain. So that's quite important, that one. Scope of Okapi. So how much of Okapi do you want to actually use, or you know, and sort of software for workforce management? I mean, you know, do you want to do the jobs, invoices as well, or do you, maybe you don't want to do the invoices and tracking, reporting, connections, messaging? So this is the whole, you know, this is the scope of what we cover, but you know, it's worth thinking about what you want to address straight away first, so what you're looking to achieve, and then once you've done that, by all means have a look at the scope and see what other things you could do. Maybe you want to do that, some of those straight away, maybe you want to do it all, maybe none of it, just what you want to achieve. But again, it's all things that you know, you can consider over time. And again, there might be training involved in some of these things, so if you don't want to do it now, you can pick it up again in the future. We're happy to run training on it with you and with your guys. So we won't, you know, we never want you to feel alone with Okapi. You can always pick other parts of it up later on and get skilled up on it with our trainers. Setting up your system. So this is whereby it pulls together existing documents. You know, you want to pull your job sheets, all your different invoice templates, determine your existing flow, see what you can get rid of as well, see what you can improve on. You know, some of those documents that you've had for years, do you really need all those things on there? Do some of them not get used? Is it just creating intricacy and more detail, more complications? So it's always a nice time and opportunity to actually simplify it and update things as well, whereby old processes build up over time, and trying to improve is sometimes feels like you're putting sticking plasters on a, when you can just improve it from the get-go. So it's worth looking at your existing documents as well. It's worth seeing who needs to sign it off. Are these, some of these things, are they part of your compliance process or procedures? What needs to be on there? What has to be on there? And who needs to sign it off? So you may, if you're a slightly larger company, you may need to get other people involved in this side of things. Again, it's something you need to consider, and really considering on when you go live on how many things you want to cover and achieve will affect how you set your system up. So okay, so this screenshot shows a job sheet on Okapi. This is whereby I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we're going to we're going to go into this in another webinar, but you can choose to create your own job sheets, or we can do it for you at a fee. Now you can create them on Okapi just by clicking on the job sheet template there, which is included. Just going on here, this is a screenshot of creating job sheets again, but this is actually showing when you're in the actual screen of a job sheet, whereby you can build it. But you can also attach other things on here as well, such as engineering drawings, floor plans, terms and conditions, quotations, and you get the idea. So you can run a lot of different processes on Okapi, just by setting up templates. Again, we can do it for you, or you can do it yourselves. With time, it's up to you. So again, the beauty of Okapi as well, or any sort of system that you put in place, is that if you do add attachments, such as engineering drawings, floor plans, and T's and C's or whatever, they'll always stay with the job sheet. So even when they're archived, so if you need to sort of refer back to something, if you want to look at something that happened last year, or you need to do it for compliance purposes or for audits, show audit trails, everything is always there. So all your attachments, all your job sheets, your jobs, all your notes are on there, and you can pull that out at any time within the reporting of Okapi. So this is an invoice screen. It's typical sort of list of invoices on Okapi. I thought I'll include this on here as well today. So, I mean, think about, do you want to convert jobs into invoices and import them into your accounts application? Now, you might not want to do this straight away. You may want to. It's a good majority of our customers do this, although some don't still. And you don't have to do it, but if you want to, pull the actual job sheet, press a touch of a button, turn it into an invoice in Okapi, and then import it into your accounts application, it means it eradicates all the re-entry of each item line, type in the job description, what was done, what things were used, all the notes from the engineers. It all transfers across, so you don't have to retype it. And you can imagine you've got hundreds of invoices. It saves a whole process. Again, your workforce management platform, as well as getting rid of paper, do you want it to improve your existing process? Do you want to eradicate extra human-centric processes whereby you're paying someone to punch data in? So again, this is something to consider. Do you want to start with the invoices, include that as well, or do you want to add that later? But it's all there within Okapi, and we cover it in the training as well, if you need to do that. So integrating with other systems. What other systems you need to integrate with, really? Do you actually need to integrate with other systems? So some of the larger companies may, some of the mid to large size companies. And what other systems? What do you need to extract from each system? And do you need to change the terms of your existing licenses? Is there any development required? And if so, do you have the resources in-house? Would you use Okapi or your current providers for that, or a third-party developer? Again, this is all things to think about, within the scope. And so you know who to get in touch with, how long something typically is going to take. So it just sets a level of expectation as well. Okay, so yeah, test again. So the more you can test beforehand, the less issues when going live. And we highly recommend it. We dual running as well. Do consider that. Consider trialing as well. Trial by job type, by engineer, by location or site. Ensure the sample reflects the population. Do thoroughly test. You might test with someone who's really, guy who's really sort of good using a mobile sort of apps. But test it on somebody else who's probably never used a mobile app or doesn't really use them often. Send them a job, tell them to look up the job in his calendar and go into it and put notes on it as if it's a live job, and see how he behaves, see what questions they have, see if you can get through it. OCAP is easy to use, but it's always worth doing the test. They might have missed something, or they may not be pressing the right things at the right time. So yeah, it's all good, and you'll find out as well if the phone, if everything's working, it's all connected with Okapi. It's definitely worth testing. So we can't stress enough, really. Okay, building your own network. Yeah. So in these current times, you may also need to consider if you need to be in a connected network. So many companies do like this, to platform share and to be able to, add their own jobs to your system. And there are benefits of streamlining all these processes, reducing duplication as well, and being able to provide real-time updates. So it brings up the old problem, really, that you're trying to solve: paper job sheets, jobs getting missed, delays caused with errors, things not getting done at all. And people are, companies you work with may phone you, chase you if the engineers turned up, you started the job, has it gone well? There'll be all sorts of phone calls that you have experience can imagine, emails going back and forth, spreadsheets, documents, attachments, files, folders, all sorts of stuff during the working day, distracting you from putting the next job on possibly, or taking a new customer inquiry call. You want to really kind of focus on growing your business rather than just rerunning work that's already been started. So with workforce management, that actually helps you build a network and share system, and gives everyone visibility. And think about how you actually communicate with your network. Would they need to do anything? What do they need to do? Do they need training? Do you want to do this yourself, or have one of our experts to communicate it across to them? So all of this is really all about focusing and trying to get everybody to have all the information they need in front of them, reducing all the duplication, all the errors, all the chasing around, phoning. So yeah, this is quite important to consider as well. Would you like subcontractor companies to be able to add those jobs and have the visibility on the status and progress in real time of those jobs? In some companies it's key, they have to know. So if that's the case, then automate it. Give them access. They can see their jobs. They can see the progress on them, and it helps you kind of work together, and it keeps you in a better relationship with your customers as well. So again, it's all things that you need to think about if you want to address, things that you need to consider going forwards, and depending on how you want to start with that, we can help you as well. We can cover things like this on the training. So here's adding customers and subcontractors. I thought I'd include this screenshot as well. It's very easy to do. So that's all on there, Okapi. So to recap on things to consider today, it's really what we went through is here, how many users. Remember that things you're looking to achieve straight away, as well as these things listed. Remember what you're looking, why you actually look to start with. address those things straight away, and look for any further improvements that you can make. And you don't have to do that straight away. You can do that over time. You can do it straight away. But again, it's things to think about. Additional job sheets whereby you can also use them to create quotes. Do you want to do that as well? Do you create surveys when you set up your system? Again, integrate with other systems, test, building your network. It's all stuff that you can think about. And the more you think about it, the more sort of improvements you'll make, obviously. It's just when it's comfortable for you, when your company's in a position to make those improvements, in harmony with, your ideas and how they're working now, and trying to sort of get that happy medium. So that's the kind of things we covered today. So there's further information here on our support pages. So we've got here www.okapi.com/support and okapi.com/article/getting-started-okapi/. So you can find all sorts of support there as well. So once again, thanks for attending our webinar. Hope you found it useful. Happy to take any questions now. So yeah, I got on here. Right, okay, I've got a question coming here. Do we need training? Okay, yeah, okay, so it's completely up to you. In our experience, customers find it useful as it helps them go live with a go live date and get everyone up to speed, get everyone bought into the idea. So you've got all the buy-in from the guys. It also helps, getting everyone up to speed, very ironing out any issues that may have happened otherwise. And as well, you might find that on the people's devices, they need to open some permissions in order to get some of the parts of Okapi working on the app. So it's always worth, we think, Okapi is easy to use, but it's always, we recommend the training in our experience, especially if you've got a set go live date in mind and you want to stick to that date and have it running smoothly. Right. Okay, so we've got any other questions? Right, okay, we've got one here. How long does it take to get set up? Okay, a lot of that depends on your own processes and the way you're working. We have customers that can be up and running within a couple of days. Other companies, in particular enterprise customers, may be more regulated. There may be more people involved, more departments, more teams. Again, having a plan, thinking of training always helps as well. So yeah, it depends, I suppose, on the size you are. So the smaller ones tend to be a lot more agile. Okay, answer to your question. So let's have a look. Is there any more questions on here? So do I actually need a workforce management system? Yes, that's a good question. So yeah, it depends on you really. Lots of smaller companies. When I say smaller companies, probably 1 or 2 people. Sort of people work alone a lot of the time. They get by fine with things like WhatsApp, Google Calendar. It's when you get bigger that businesses become more complex. So you need, focus on some sort of solution, something to bring it all together. And particularly as you grow the company, as you get busier, the amount of, chasing phone calls, emails, documents, spreadsheets, just a few jobs can create in one day. And then it's keeping that all together, keeping it quick, easy to use, putting your finger on things and being able to file it, and not have any invoices missed and not have any jobs missed as well. So as you grow, it's more important, as you sort of take people on, come out of being either 1 or 2 people company, as you're growing, definitely, and frees up your time as well. And we've got stats on this as well that shows in the industry, return on investment and how, workforce management software can actually free up time, in effect, really sort of affect your bottom line, as it were, and your margins and your turnover. Freeing up time for you to concentrate on getting that new business and that sort of thing.